Sophia was trembling as she stood at the altar, heart racing with excitement, waiting for the man she believed was her future, her forever. Ethan was behind those closed doors, and in just a few moments, they would make vows that she had rehearsed in her mind 100 times over. The entire day felt like a fairy tale. The grand hall was adorned with flowers, soft music played in the background, and loved ones filled the seats, all eagerly awaiting the moment the couple would become husband and wife. But as the doors opened and Ethan stepped into the room, a strange feeling washed over Sophia. There was something off, a hesitation, a shadow in his eyes that seemed to cloud his usually warm gaze. She brushed the feeling away, thinking it was just wedding nerves. After all, they'd been through so much together, both good and bad, and here they were, ready to seal their love for life. Ethan reached her side, and as he took her hands, she felt his grip was tense. The ceremony began, and the officiant smiled as he spoke. But as the vows started, Ethan's voice broke, and he stumbled over his words. Sophia could feel her pulse quicken, sensing that whatever was wrong was about to spill out. He took a deep, shaky breath and to her shock stopped the ceremony. I can't go through with this, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Gasps filled the room, and Sophia's heart dropped, each beat heavy with dread and confusion. She stared at him, trying to understand, trying to piece together what was happening. With his hands still clasping hers, he looked directly into her eyes, guilt swirling in his gaze. Sophia, I need to tell you something. Something I've been hiding for a long time. The room fell silent, every guest staring at the couple in shock, trying to understand what was going on. Sophia felt as though time had stopped, her entire body frozen as she braced herself for whatever he was about to reveal. She nodded, swallowing hard, and whispered, "Tell me, Ethan." His eyes dropped, unable to hold her gaze, and he took another deep breath. For the past year, I've been seeing someone else. I didn't mean for it to happen, but it did. His voice shook, but he kept speaking as if he needed to confess. It's Olivia. The name echoed in Sophia's mind, almost too much to process. Olivia, her friend, her closest friend, the one who had been there through every high and low of her relationship with Ethan. Olivia, who had helped her pick out her dress, had comforted her through every moment of doubt. It felt as if the ground was slipping away beneath her feet. There was an audible gasp from the guests, and Sophia's parents exchanged horrified glances. She could barely breathe, her chest tightening as she tried to make sense of it all. Why tell me now? Her voice trembled, fighting to keep control as tears stung her eyes. Her dreams of a perfect day, of a perfect future, shattered around her. Ethan's face twisted in regret, and he looked like he might break down. I didn't want to go through with this marriage without being honest with you. You deserve the truth, even if it means we can't be together. Sophia's heart was breaking, but anger and disbelief began to build. She turned to Olivia, who sat a few rows back, visibly shaken and clutching the edge of her chair. Sophia felt tears run down her cheeks, her heart breaking for the friend who had betrayed her, and for the man she thought she would spend her life with. "Olivia?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Olivia looked down, unable to meet her gaze. "Sophia, I'm so sorry," Olivia began, but Sophia turned away, unable to bear the sight of her once trusted friend. Sophia took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. There was only one choice, one path that could save her from the devastation she felt. She looked at Ethan, then at the crowd of family and friends who had come to celebrate her, not to witness her heartbreak. Her voice was stronger than she felt as she said, "If you couldn't tell me this before, then you don't deserve to tell me now." With her head held high, she turned and walked back down the aisle, away from Ethan, from Olivia, from the life she thought she was going to have. She held back her tears as she stepped out of the ceremony hall, feeling like she was leaving behind everything she knew. In the weeks that followed, Sophia went through waves of emotions. Each day, a new battle as she tried to make sense of the betrayal. Friends and family tried to comfort her, but nothing felt real anymore. Ethan had reached out, apologizing, trying to explain himself, but Sophia knew it was too late. Olivia had tried as well, sending messages and calling, but the pain was too deep to even consider forgiving her. Months passed, and gradually, Sophia began to rebuild herself. She threw herself into her passions, revisiting old hobbies, rediscovering herself outside of the relationship that had defined her for so long. She spent time traveling, meeting new people, and focusing on healing. One evening, while sitting alone in a quiet cafe far from home, she met someone new. A man named Daniel, who approached her with a gentle smile and a warm presence that felt genuine. They talked for hours that night, and there was something about him that was different. He didn't ask about her past. He didn't pry. Instead, he simply wanted to know who she was, who she wanted to become. Their connection grew slowly, over coffee dates and long conversations about life, art, dreams, and everything in between. He listened to her as if her every word mattered, as if her scars and stories were all part of the beauty he saw in her. Sophia felt something stir in her heart again, a warmth she hadn't expected to feel after all the pain. One evening, as they walked by a quiet lake, Sophia felt a deep sense of peace wash over her. She looked at Daniel and realized that, for the first time in a long time, she felt whole, as though her heart had healed enough to truly open again. Daniel stopped, looking at her with a gentle intensity. "Sophia," he said softly, "I know you've been through so much. I don't want to rush anything. I just want you to know, being with you feels like the most honest thing I've ever felt." Sophia's heart swelled, a tear slipping down her cheek as she smiled. She knew that love didn't have to come from grand gestures or perfect circumstances. It could grow from kindness, from understanding, and from two people willing to be vulnerable. And as she took his hand, feeling the warmth of a future that was entirely hers to choose, Sophia knew that sometimes the end of one story was only the beginning of another. A story of love that was born not out of betrayal, but out of healing, strength, and the courage to believe in love again. As Sophia and Daniel continued to build a life together, an undeniable warmth grew between them. Yet, despite her joy, Sophia couldn't shake the shadows of her past. She was still haunted by what she had gone through with Ethan and Olivia. Sometimes a pang of insecurity would rise within her, bringing doubt into her newfound happiness with Daniel. Could she truly let go of the heartbreak and betrayal to trust someone again? Daniel noticed these moments. He sensed the unease in her gaze when they talked about the future or when his past came up in casual conversation. Rather than pressuring her, he was patient, giving her the space she needed and always offering his understanding. But one night, after they'd spent a wonderful evening laughing and talking about everything under the stars, he asked her a question that would change everything. "Sophia, what are you most afraid of?" She hesitated, looking away as if trying to find the right words. Finally, she took a deep breath, her voice soft but filled with honesty. "I'm afraid of giving someone my heart again, only to have it broken." He nodded, as if he had been expecting that answer, and after a moment of silence, he spoke. "I know it isn't easy to trust again, especially after everything you've been through, but I'd like to earn that trust, if you'll let me." His words were simple, yet they held a promise, and in that moment, Sophia felt her guard begin to lower, little by little. She knew that this journey would require courage, a courage she wasn't sure she had, but Daniel's kindness made her want to try. As weeks turned into months, they grew closer, sharing secrets, dreams, and vulnerabilities. It was during this time that Daniel opened up to her about his own past, a heartbreak that had once shattered him too. His story, filled with its own kind of pain, somehow made her feel less alone. They became each other's safe haven, understanding the nuances of one another's scars, even if they didn't always speak about them. One evening, Sophia received a message from Ethan. It was a simple text. After a day of reflection, Sophia decided to meet Ethan, not to rekindle anything, but to put her past truly behind her. They met at a quiet cafe, the place where they'd once spent countless hours sharing laughter and love. But today, the air between them felt different, filled with a sense of finality. Ethan apologized, admitting to the damage he had caused and the hurt he now realized he had inflicted. He expressed his regret and acknowledged how deeply he had wounded her. Hearing his apology gave her a sense of closure she didn't know she needed. Sophia realized as she looked across the table at Ethan that she no longer held bitterness or anger. Her heart was free, finally unburdened by the past. As they said their goodbyes, she knew it was the last time they would see each other, and instead of sadness, she felt a sense of peace. When she returned home that evening, Daniel was waiting. The sight of him, standing there with his soft, understanding gaze, felt like a balm to her heart. She told him everything, each detail of her meeting with Ethan. He listened intently, nodding in quiet understanding. As she finished, he took her hands and looked into her eyes. Sophia, whatever happens, I want you to know that I'm here because I choose you. Not just the happy moments, but all of it. Your past, your fears, your dreams. I love you for who you are, even the parts that are healing. Tears filled her eyes as she realized that this love, this gentle, steady love, was what she had been waiting for. It wasn't grand gestures or sweeping promises. It was quiet understanding, a promise of presence and acceptance. And in that moment, Sophia knew that her heart was ready. She had finally found the love she deserved, a love that was true, a love that had grown from trust and vulnerability, and a love that had, against all odds, healed her from the inside out. Sophia and Daniel had grown even closer over the months following that final meeting with Ethan. They built memories, shared dreams, and became each other's solace. The quiet understanding they shared was something Sophia cherished deeply, but she sometimes still found herself doubting whether she was enough, haunted by fears that her past might somehow ruin this happiness. Daniel noticed her quiet moments of doubt, the way she sometimes drifted away even while they were together. He never pushed her to talk, but always made sure to remind her she wasn't alone. One evening, after they'd shared dinner at his place, Daniel turned to her, an unreadable expression in his eyes. Sophia, I know you've been through a lot, and I want you to know that no matter what, I'm here. I love you, all of you. He hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty in his gaze. And I need to know if you believe that too. Sophia's heart twisted at his words. She realized that her insecurities were hurting not only herself, but also him, and she didn't want her doubts to ruin the only beautiful thing that had come out of years of heartache. So, with tears in her eyes, she poured out her heart, telling him about every fear, every lingering shadow from her past, every scar. Daniel held her close, his presence steady as he whispered, Sophia, your past doesn't scare me. I love you, not in spite of what you've been through, but because of who you are. But life had a way of testing their love in ways they didn't expect. A few weeks later, Sophia received a call she never imagined she'd get. Her mother had fallen seriously ill. With a heavy heart, she returned to her hometown, miles away from Daniel, to be by her mother's side. Days turned into weeks, and every time she felt herself breaking under the weight of watching her mother struggle, Daniel's calls were her only solace. He'd stay on the phone with her late into the night, listening to her fears, her sadness, reminding her that he was there, even if miles separated them. They'd talk for hours, sometimes falling asleep on the line, as if clinging to one another's voices could somehow bridge the distance. Yet as her mother's condition worsened, Sophia found herself consumed by the overwhelming grief and responsibilities. She'd become quieter, unable to muster the energy to share her pain fully. Daniel felt her slipping away, and the distance between them, which had once felt manageable, now felt like a chasm. Then, one evening, she missed his call. She was too exhausted to respond, and when she checked her phone the next day, there was a message from him. The message tore at her heart. She realized how much he was willing to give, even while she'd been pulling away. That night she called him, her voice trembling as she apologized, her emotions spilling out in raw honesty. She told him how broken she felt, how scared she was of losing not only her mother, but of somehow losing him in the process. Daniel's voice was a balm. "I'm here, Sophia. You're not alone. We're in this together. I promised you that, didn't I?" After weeks of struggle, her mother's health finally began to improve. The ordeal had taken a toll on Sophia, but she felt lighter knowing Daniel had been with her in every way he could. When she returned home, exhausted but grateful, Daniel was waiting at the airport. The sight of him, standing there with that familiar, unwavering gaze, made her rely on him. She ran to him, wrapping her arms around him, feeling the weight of months of fear and separation melt away. Pulling back, she looked into his eyes, tears blurring her vision as she whispered, "Thank you, Daniel, for loving me when I couldn't love myself, for believing in us even when I doubted." He smiled, brushing away a tear from her cheek. "I love you, Sophia, through every storm, through every struggle. You're my heart." In that moment, Sophia understood what real love was. Not a fairy tale, not a story without hardship, but a bond forged through the toughest of times, strengthened by patience and an unwavering trust. For the first time, she felt truly at peace, knowing she'd found someone who would be by her side no matter what. And she knew, deep in her soul, that this was the love she'd been waiting for all along.